This is Heart to Hearties, the official after show and podcast where we bring your questions directly to our cast and crew. I'm Marg from San Diego.
I'm Kim from Barrie, Ontario, Canada.
Hey, Hearties, Jeanette from Michigan.
And we have Barbara with us with what is your sweet girl's name?
Lizzie. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Our costume designer. And oh my gosh, she is so precious, Barbara. Wow. All right. Well, she might be ready to answer some questions because you keep it all in the family.
Yeah, she might want to. I'm not sure. She
All
might
right,
go
that's
away and
good.
come back.
And talk to us about your dog because your dog got into the act as well. You have your famous doggy now.
Yeah, so they needed puppies on the set. So yeah, I was like, "Do you want this one?"
So cute.
And, yeah, and they chose him as well. So that was really exciting for Remy. He loves to be on set.
Is Remy a beagle?
He's Biglier. Yeah, so he's half Beagle and half Cavalier King Charles.
What a cool
Wow.
combo.
I don't know if you knew that he was in the movie Dog's Journey.
No, I don't think so.
No.
If I did,
And
I forgot.
so he was playing Molly, and his twin sister was playing his double.
Oh my heavens.
So
That's
so
Professional is what you're saying.
he's actually a movie star dog. So
Okay. All right. Well, it was a beautiful scene last week. We just loved it. All right. Can we see that beautiful doggy? Oh,
Oh.
Who has now made his When Calls the Heart debut, right?
yeah.
stole the show on Sunday. I love it. So you're the creative talent behind all of the best dressed men and women on When Calls the Heart, and even a few that seemed deliberately worse dressed. We're talking about Ava. Yeah. Um, this season, the costuming, we did not know you were going to lean into the 20s, and that must have been so much fun. As we dig into the Hearties questions, we want to start with the new additions. So, Edie's glasses intrigued the Hearties, and she's so beautiful. So if that was meant to disguise it in any way, it certainly didn't because she's amazing. Um, and she's just our legal professional, a lot of pinstripes, a lot of white, and then wearing pants, some jodhpur kind of things. Tell us about Edie's wardrobe choices.
So it's funny because like her wardrobe I actually found before the character came on a show or was even written. So all her pieces were kind of collected for When Calls the Heart, but I wasn't sure who is going to end up wearing them. And it was actually like the blue pinstripe suit she wears, like the vest and the skirt combo. Actually, I had it even before I started working on the season 12 of When Calls the Heart. So I bought it like, I don't know, 3 months ahead or something like that. One thing was representing the lawyer in her. Then the other thing was she's still kind of like, she's doesn't have lots of money. So, like it was supposed to be more like if you say like, teacher style look or something like that. And I love pinstripes. So we just did a different take this time because even like the white suit she wears, that one I found in a Ted Baker. And uh, so I was like, okay, there is a blazer, and they actually had pants. So, and I don't think that I also knew at that time that we are going to have Edie character, but I was like, okay, this will have a potential for something because sometimes we do from pants, we do skirts. So, so basically, I was like, okay, well, what size am I going to buy? Because you never know what, like the size will
Right.
be. So I was like, okay, well, let's risk to buy the pants, I think size 4, because that's like kind of generic for usually for the cast they get. And then let's buy the biggest pants they have for making a skirt out of it. Because I was thinking it would be nice to do, like a skirt suit, or we ended up making actually vest out of the pants too, because that became like her signature look to do like, the vest and skirt combo. And yeah, so I mean, I had the pieces, even the light green suit we had ahead of time. And when the character was written and I read it, I was like, oh, like, okay, this would be perfect for her. Originally, actually, the blue suit I was thinking would be for Faith, but obviously she was pregnant this year, so that wouldn't work. We tried all the glasses which props department collected during our fitting, and we tried it with the costumes. And then
Good. I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
so I took the pictures of Edie wearing like the glasses in her costume prior to all the alterations, and we sent them for approval to see which glasses will everybody love on Edie the most. But yeah, she was lots of fun. And then the pants, they just were writing the storyline. So, we obviously always go to like what we already have in our stock.
Yeah.
And you guys never saw it before. So actually, the pants she ended up wearing, the one which tucked into the boots, they are wear Banana Republic, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you sometimes just go to these stores and they just have like, oh, like this is perfect for Wrinkles the Heart, right?
Well, you also had Melissa Gilbert to dress this year for her character Georgie, and she needed a professional look. She had the perfectly tailored suits and a corseted waist, and we understand that that was her preference, was to have a corset. How did you conceive of what would look best on her?
Well, it's interesting because sometimes like you don't really have enough time to, well, you kind of don't have enough time to prep, right? Like if you want to build the skirt and blazer combo, that kind of takes a long time. Like, like you can probably, if you don't have anything else to do with my small team, we can get it done, let's say 3 days like depending on elaborate, like how elaborate the design would be, right? But like you also need the measurements. So it's like
Mhm.
process which you have to go through, right? So for Melissa, she wanted a corset. So we actually used one of the ones which we already had from previous seasons, but I promised her that we are going to build her a new one. So we actually built her a new one afterwards once we did the proper thing and we got the measurements. So she actually has her own corset, and and uh, and then for her look, like we basically tried stuff again, like what we had in our stock, and like, so we tried the pieces and what color palette would work, right? And what I can reconstruct to make work for her. She looked amazing. Like there is a video of her
Mhm.
like walking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like she
Mhm.
looks amazing.
So another new character that we had this season was Oliver, and he's grown quickly on us, and we all hope he sticks around for sure. Is his cadet uniform fairly accurate for his beginner rank?
For Oliver, okay, so the uniform, actually, we work with IMS, which is a rental house, and we also have the mount uniforms from them. And when Oliver's character came about to be, I usually go to them and ask them, like what would be the appropriate uniform for the time, and this is the character, this is what he's going to do, and they basically gave us, like the two options for the shirts, and we kind of figure out like which shirt he's going to wear when or based on his actions, right? But kept him in the uniform most of the time until he was supposed to be in his civilian clothes, or it made sense for him to be in his civilian clothes. But yeah, like based on our research and IMS research, it's accurate. Yes.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. I wouldn't have thought to ask about that, but that's great.
Mm.
So Ava, our other new character, she came to town, let's be real, looking like a bit of a hot mess, which we kind of loved. Um, but Hearties were talking because she came to town in like a white dress. She had the gloves, she had the pearls, the disheveled hair, all of that. So a lot of Hearties were talking about how they thought she might be a runaway bride. And so then as her episodes unfolded, she, bought her clothes in town or they loaned her clothes. So what was that like to create for you? I mean, I think it sounds like maybe the clothes kind of lent to the mystery of her character.
It's funny how it came across
Yeah.
because I wouldn't say it was 100% intentional that way. So there was basically when I was talking to the showrunner, like what's her backstory, to make sense of the costume. It was kind of like it was kind of evolving. So by the time we got to her, there was lots of informations which I had to work with, but not all of the informations which we had or we were talking about what are the potential for her character might necessarily happen yet. So like my original, let's say, thought process for her was that, okay, so she is witnessing the murder. Also being there was an option that she was probably backstage in a theater, so she was probably wearing a costume from a play, and she probably grabbed like a coat which maybe doesn't really work for her. She, so whatever she's wearing technically doesn't really represent her as a person, or it's not maybe even her own. And
Right.
Yeah.
then, like the writers team and the showrunner and Hallmark, they wanted her to kind of feel like, okay, she's a heiress, but that's kind of like, how are you going to portray that when, like you cannot really give her a ball gown. That wouldn't really make
Right.
right. And we tried a number of dresses for her, and the one which we ended up using actually is a vintage dress, and we had to like alter it and add layers because it was actually more like the shorter version of the 20s. And yeah, so we had to like fix it up and everything. And for some reason I kind of, though, always imagine her in like a lighter colored dress. I know, like I remember like when we were supposed to see her first time, right? I kind of suggested like, oh, maybe we should break the heel on a shoe, like it would kind of add to the storyline, right? So I was kind of glad that that actually ended up um approved. So we were breaking a heel on a shoe, which it was funny because those shoes didn't want to break the heel.
Oh
So,
no.
Right.
so my dad, Martin, he was doing that, and it wasn't like the best shoe you can like just, like do the breaking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, but yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Well, and that tiny little element lent so much to her character
Character.
entrance. I mean, it just like
Good.
set the tone right out of the gate. So
Yeah.
that's very cool that came from you to come up with that idea. Um, well, while we're on accessories, one of our favorite things to talk about, of course, we want to talk hats. Lucas broke out a hat this year, and we always know from over the years, there's always lots of opinions and chatter about the hats. So, especially, so who makes that decision in this case for Lucas, especially because we don't see it on the men too much, but so what was the thought behind
Lucas, actually, it was a specifically written he's supposed to wear a hat. Like I didn't saw the cut of the scene, unfortunately, but the way it was written, at least, like because Edie comes in there and she doesn't notices him, right? So he had to be in a disguise. So he was supposed to wear a hat. I'm not sure if this was his hat from our like closet, which we have for him, because I know we have hats for him from previous, seasons. Yeah, it was specifically written.
And it makes a lot of sense for the travel. It always seems like people of that time, maybe that's just my my impression, but a lot of them wore the hats when they traveled.
Yeah, I
So
mean, if you have a new character, like a main character, I usually suggest, like, or I sometimes do ask, like, oh, do you want a hat, right? Like for the character, depending on the entrance, because it's always nice to add that little detail, right? So last year when we had okay, Viv. So his brother came to town, right? So we added a hat, and then we had also Tom coming back to town again, right? So we added a hat as well, right? So, sometimes it does make sense. Sometimes you try a hat on a person and we are like, oh, you are not a hat person.
yeah.
That maybe happened with Toady. Toady, did he had a hat? I don't remember. But there was one character which we had
I think he
again.
did. Yeah.
Okay, so there was some other character which we tried on head, and we were like, okay, you are not a head person.
Yeah. What's cool about Lucas is his made the opening credits now. That shot of him in the hat, he's in the credits, which is very cool. Well, Trisha Ellington of Tampa has noticed, and a lot of parties have, that Elizabeth is wearing fewer coats and more shawls. You knew the shawl question was coming, didn't you? So, yeah, is it supposed to represent some kind of change, or is there another reason behind more shawls this year?
Um, let's put it this way. Erin doesn't like to wear blazers much.
Okay, there we go.
So I rebuild her this beautiful blazer. And she's like, I'm not going to wear that one ever again. I'm like,
Oh, too confining,
Probably
or
more
what is it?
constricting, yeah.
Yeah.
she likes to have more freedom in her movements. She finds the blazers to be a little bit too restricted, especially because we start in summer and then suddenly we are in, blazers. Also, I will say that I think for the weather conditions, which we sometimes do have, I think she has the most resilient. Like she will wear a short sleeve if she wants to wear a short sleeve.
Oh,
Like she has probably the most resiliency for the weather condition. So we just make it, work with the storyline and, the weather we are working with and that it works for the character. Like Elizabeth always did have a thing for the shawl, so it does make a sense to, just like elaborate on that. And if it's not a coat, it has to be a shawl. So, or I mean jacket, right? So
yeah.
so the other thing is like how we are moving, more towards like, let's say even deeper to early 20s, like the jackets and coats which we had for Elizabeth, they don't really make sense anymore. Like some of them might do, but like everything is specifically picked up for, like the scenes.
I love the little rosebud print dress that she's wearing in the season finale. It's so beautiful, so springy, really pretty.
Funny because actually that was supposed to be a blouse.
Oh,
Is it a
wow.
blouse or a dress?
Yeah, it's a dress.
It
It's
is
a
a dress. Okay. Okay.
Originally, that my idea when I was getting those two pieces, it was supposed to be I'm chopping this up, I'm making a blouse out of it.
It's
And
beautiful. Where did
it
it come from?
Simon's.
So So Allie's dance party, not only did you have a birthday girl to get a new dress for, but you had a whole room full of teenagers to design. How was that? What was that experience like?
Well, I mean, basically, we didn't really have a stock, right? Because we never had this many teens in a
Right.
dance before, right? Like our kids are growing up, so we basically have the wardrobe which they grow out of.
Yeah.
So we had to, like, everybody was fitted, so including the background specifically for the dance party. Yeah, so for Ellie's dress, actually, I found it in Anthropology and they only had one and it was size 12. So, but I knew about the party. So I was like, oh, this would be perfect. So we just made it fit. And then for the other girls, like for okay, so we have Angela. So we actually built all the dresses out of two dresses.
Oh.
So except
Wow.
of actually Eva's. So yeah, so Opal's dress is actually one dress, and it was originally one layered skirt, but during the 20s they did mostly like the two layer skirts. And I do feel that kind of sells the period the best. So because I think if we would keep it, like one layer, it might go maybe more towards like a little bit hint of 50s. But if you do two layers, then it's actually more 20s. Then I think we added the belt to it as well, and we altered it for her. And then for Emily, it was again, I bought two dresses, and we cut the bottom of the other one to make, the two layers of the skirt. And Angela's was kind of the same idea.
Can't even conceive because there were a lot of teens that we had never seen before that you had to dress. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, no, there was like everything was specifically like fitted, altered for that scene for
Wow.
everyone.
So Mary McElway of Ontario thought that the brown casual pants outfit in episode 9 was really interesting that Allie was wearing kind of like balloon pants. And she wonders if you'd talk about, is that true to the period?
Yes, so basically that's kind of just like, did she grow out of her old ones? Because we used these ones before. I
Right.
think we already had them from the last season as well,
Ah,
I think.
okay.
So I'm sure we had, yeah, because she grew out of her other pants. So we basically built her a new pants from another fabric in a similar style. But yeah, like historical accuracy, yeah, they did have pants like that. I mean, you would be sometimes surprised what they did have, I think.
Gladys Marie Johnson of Arlington, Texas, loved the blue dress Angela wore in episode 9 and says it made her look more mature. Was this your design or was it a purchase or some combo?
I'm not really sure if it's the same dress because she had few.
She had a number of blue dresses.
So there is like a blue one with flowers, but basically all her dresses are usually purchased and then we alter them.
Okay.
It's again like combination of sometimes we buy 3 because we need a long sleeve, you know. So and the dresses we actually which we buy would never have a long sleeve. Like that's kind of like I would say almost a problem. Yeah, but it's, you know, I usually look at the fabric and then if that works for us, then we reconstruct it for the show and for the character.
Yeah, I love I remember distinctly the fabric on her graduation dress is like blue and white. It's really pretty on her. Yeah.
Yeah, the fabrics like that you find like on the dresses these days, like, you know, they are great,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a certain type of material which would work for us, and that's what you need it to do. And it has beautiful prints. Like certain prints you look at and you know, like, oh, this is not going to work. But then you look at certain prints and you're just like, oh, this is perfect, right? And you cannot buy that fabric in fabric store, right? So this is just giving you more options to give more texture to all the costumes.
Heather Hood of Minneapolis, Minnesota, loved the intentional repurposing of the costumes in the Importance of Being Earnest scene, the radio play that they did. Which of the costumes did you prepare for that play that was your favorite?
Originally, there was a talk that maybe the cast is not going to wear any costumes for the theater play. So it was kind of like going back and forth. Like they were maybe supposed to wear just like, you know, like some accessories. And then there was an idea that, okay, well, the ladies are playing men parts, so they should actually wear men's clothes, which came actually from their men's, you know, closets. And which kind of cannot really work because they would be very oversized. You know, the thought is there. Yeah, so I kind of was like, okay, what we can use. And I mean, I knew we have a Pascal's coat, and then we had the men's wear. Actually, Pascal, the suit which she ended up wearing for the play, originally, again, it was supposed to be for Faith.
Right.
Because Faith usually wears like, you know, the pants and blazers combos. And I mean, at least she was the first one who did. And but she was pregnant. It's funny because for Minnie, we actually borrowed the suit from Tom's closet.
Oh, funny.
Thank God.
Just kind of borrow it and then you put it back where it belongs. But yeah, so it was kind of just like, yeah, borrowing pieces from who has the size we need.
Yeah, seriously.
That's amazing. Holly Peterson from Plattsburgh, New York, thinks the color palettes you've chosen for the characters are amazing. We saw Rosemary in a satiny lavender blue striped skirt in the beekeeper scene, or right before that, I think. And it's a lighter shade than we're used to seeing her in.
It's funny because I'm not really sure how that skirt translates on everybody's TVs because originally it's a light teal.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
That's so interesting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because that skirt is actually light teal and it's from the episode. I'm sure it's this one because I gave her it's the only short skirt she has in her closet.
Mm.
And it has the white stripe.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
skirt which we actually used you know, when we had the Dottie's shop and the first time
Mhm.
when we did the short skirts on everybody. So it was like Clara and
Mhm.
Pascal. Yeah, so Rosemary had a short skirt. I thought somebody else maybe had too, but yeah. So that's the skirt basically.
Oh, okay.
So I used
That's
it
so fun.
seasons. Usually when, you know, like I think I used it for like maybe I'm not sure it was graduation or like some picnic or party or something, you know, when she can wear like a short skirt, I usually use this one. So
Gonna have to watch again to see, like, does it have any hint of teal in it at all?
Yeah, I might have to
Um,
watch it now too.
Yeah.
Because I saw from like on Instagram, it definitely was still teal for me. So
okay, all right, fun. Sylvia Yvonne from the Netherlands loves to hear the inspiration behind your creations. And in episode 10, Rosemary had these cool gold braid lapels on her jacket. And so she thought that was almost a Sergeant Pepper Lonely Hearts Club band vibe. Um, Tell us how you thought about that.
so we didn't see actually this suit on Rosemary for a long time
Oh,
because
so we saw it before?
oh yeah,
Really?
I
Okay.
Oh, wow. So unique, that lapel.
have a feeling that was when, and I'm not 100% sure. But I think that's the suit she wore when Elizabeth gave birth.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Either I'm wrong
okay.
or right, but I have a feeling that's what she wore. But I may be wrong, but it was definitely when we had like the colder seasons,
Hmm.
Mhm, mhm.
like one of those like the suits, walking suits for the Christmas episodes, because
Okay.
it's very deep green. And then, so the inspiration for that was because I love detail and trim, right? So, and you cannot just have a plain, you know, plain suit with just like from green
Not
fabric.
in Barbara's world, you cannot. You have to put some
No,
gorgeous trim on it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so
Well, we
basically,
love you.
thank you. So yeah, so it was just really like the trim complemented the green of the walking suit, and it was brighter, so it kind of lightens the whole thing up, right? Because it's on the cuffs, and I don't know if the skirt has a little bit of it, but I know the skirt has a different trim for sure. But yeah, I think it's just really like I do collect trims too. So it was just what will look best, right? So there is not like some hidden inspiration behind it. It's more just like playing with the fabrics and then figuring out what to put on top of it, I guess.
We have all heard by now about Kevin's plea to wear the white jacket, to rock the white jacket. So what was your reaction? Were you all in right when he suggested it, or?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Like it was just, sometimes when you are doing anything in, let's say, white color palette,
Mhm.
you have to talk to all the people if they're, pro or pro it or against it. So it was more just figuring it out, like, okay, is it going to work with our DOP? And also if Hallmark is okay with that, because originally, yeah, she agrees too. Um, yeah, so it just went through like a really like, everybody had to sign off on it, because also as soon as you do white or even like off-white outside, if it's too sunny, then
Yeah.
it's just become a problem with the camera. So you just have to be very careful, right? The dinner jacket, which we ended up going for Nathan, was actually off-white, so which is perfect because you don't want to go with like just bright white, especially when we had the scene in Hope Valley, like outside. And then the other thing was also, which was really important to our showrunner, is that we knew that he's going to be wearing a tuxedo later on, so we didn't want to do two competing looks.
Yeah.
So it's call it a dinner jacket and it's not a tuxedo.
Ah, there we go. Well, Hearties approved for sure.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
loved seeing him in that look. That's for sure. Well, and then we had Elizabeth's gorgeous party dress for the big 1920s party. Barbara Laird from Rhode Island said it was stunning. She wants to know, was that found as is, or did you construct that?
So that dress actually was purchased,
Wow.
because I do love building stuff from scratch, and that's something what I do prefer. But also the beadwork, which we needed, like we can't do that.
No.
Yeah, that would have
Right.
taken forever.
Like or that, like I knew what Hallmark was looking for, And I mean, obviously we could find a fabric, but or try to find a fabric. But actually, you know what? We were looking at fabrics, and there was not really anything out there which would work. And there was this website, and they had all these beautiful dresses. And I showed them to Hallmark, and I was like, okay, this is the direction you want to go. And they were like, yes. And then we purchased the dresses, which I felt would work for Elizabeth. And also for our backgrounds, because we basically needed to, outfit everybody. And Erin actually tried on every dress which she could in her size. So all even the
Wow.
one which you saw in the background, she tried them all. We ordered the dresses. We almost didn't get them on time, which was very stressful.
No.
Oh no.
We actually got only half of the shipment, and I was stressing out, like, where is this other one? Because I ordered like accessories and other stuff too, and it was just not coming. And I'm like, where is it?
Yeah, wow.
And
Oh, no.
and then originally for Elizabeth's character, we actually tried a different dress on, and I was fussing with it for like, we had probably at least 5 fittings with Erin to try this dress on and figure out like how I will alter it and what we are going to do, because the dress she ended up wearing, we kind of nixed it when we looked at it first time. It just didn't look right when we tried it on the first time, and something was missing. And then when we were fasting with this other dress, Erin was like, what about this one? We should retry it. So when we tried it then again, the dress, we are like, oh, then I was figuring out how to make it work the way we want it to work for us, right? Because the dress wasn't working the way it was bought. So, and it was actually the neckline, which was originally the problem as well. That's why we kind of nixed it. And we didn't like how it was, fitting. And then I had these beads which were fitting the color and the beads of the dress perfectly. So we basically added the straps, then so we added the bead detail, and then we had to move the straps because originally the straps are, I think, this, but we wanted them off shoulders. So it was like little tweaks to give it the look we ended up in. So I'm glad it worked out at the end, but it was definitely, I would say, in 10 seasons of Ankles the Heart,
Yeah.
toughest dress to do.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Definitely. It was the toughest.
That party had to be an all hands on deck situation. Do you know how many hours total you and your team put in for the DeMarco party? Or
I
the
don't know, but we had to fit it also everybody. So all the men's were fitted prior, and all the ladies were fitted prior, and we also had to adjust all those dresses for all the backgrounds.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they didn't come the way you see them on the camera.
Yeah.
So, and it was all the work, right? Like that was what we knew that we want. And then
Mhm.
we just had to adapt all the short dresses, which were beaded, to make them longer because we are not in that length yet, right? Like,
Wow.
Right.
Well, thank you for taking time. That's you got your hands full, and so we appreciate that you took some time for us today. And we just oohed and awed at your creations all season long. So another great season in the books, and hopefully more in the future. And so thanks for taking time for us.
thank you.
All right. And Hearties, did you have a favorite costume? I feel like we just scratched the surface. So please
Mhm.
drop. I love
Did.
talking.
Yeah.
I love when Hearties talk costumes. So drop, and Barbara probably loves it too. So drop in the comments what was your favorite costume this season, and then stick around. The season is wrapped, but we'll still be around, and we love to hear from you. As always, you can subscribe to our channel, listen anytime, and on all the podcast platforms. So we'll see you next time on the next Heart to Hearties. Bye, Hearties.
Bye, everyone.